family, the wider community on social media. My name is Imo Anselm. I am privileged to be your host once again for the Techeconomy Business Series. And it is a pleasure to welcome you once again to another edition. I'm so elated for the topic that we're about to discuss today because in May, we discussed funding and investment opportunities, how and where entrepreneurs can get funding and where they should go to get that funding and how they can position themselves. And so I'm quite happy that today we're going to be discussing the ways to attract the right investors, and we have experts in the house to do justice to that. So please, if you're just joining us, could you let us know where you're joining from? I am joining from the nation's capital, Abuja, and we already have our speakers and the panelists here on stage. Thank you so much for making our time and for not just making our time, but being here right on time. We love that sort of energy, and we really do appreciate it. I want to let you know that we do appreciate that energy. And so we're going to kickstart quite immediately. IT team, please, could you help with the speaker introductions? Thank you.
I'm Samuel Seedu, a tech entrepreneur, software engineer, innovation strategist, and the managing partner at GPIT Nigeria, a fast-rising technology company dedicated to building digital solutions, growing technical talent, and accelerating the future of innovation across Africa. For over a decade, I've lived at the intersection of code, creativity, and community, building not just products, but people. My journey started as a curious young developer writing PHP and JavaScript into the early hours of the morning. Today, I lead teams, mentor startups, and design systems that help African founders build scalable, sustainable ventures from the ground up.
Ekundeo is the CEO of Business Plus LLC, leading digital marketing transformation agency in the United States and Africa, focused on helping organizations and companies in both the public and private sectors produce results by presenting them with an extensive range of business solutions to adequately generate traction, interaction, and conversions for clients who make use of digital media. He has delivered digital marketing campaigns for both B2B and B2C companies in different sectors of the economy, ranging from financial institutions, government parastatals, real estate, religious organizations, state government, telecoms, to mention a few. Chabit Good News is a visionary leader at the intersection of technology, advertising, and finance, championing innovative platforms that are transforming how Africa connects, trades, and grows. As CEO of Dodges AdX, Africa's leading multi-platform advertising exchange, Chibik has pioneered AI-powered solutions that help businesses acquire and retain customers through targeted, data-driven campaigns. From performance marketing and AI chatbots to rich media and growth marketing strategies, Dodges under his leadership has expanded its reach into major global markets including the US, UK, and Singapore. The company has been named one of Nigeria's top 100. Fastest growing businesses and awarded the best multi-channel advertising platform. Franklin's as a senior associate at Shui Ventures and as a fellow at Dream VC.
All right. Thank you so much, Tech Team, for that lovely introductions. It felt like I was in an award show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again. This is the Tech Economy Business Series, and today we'll be speaking on attracting the right investors, a strategic roadmap for fundraising success. And we know that in today's dynamic and often challenging economic landscape, that securing the right investment is more critical than ever for businesses to be able to innovate, for businesses to be able to unlock their full potential, and for ventures to be able to scale. And so it's not just about getting funding, it's about finding the partners who align with your vision, with your goals, with your strategic mission, and also finding the kind of funding that help you unlock true value to be able to solve problems for economic prosperity. And so it's not just about bringing capital to the table, it's finding people who genuinely believe in your mission. And it is clear that many entrepreneurs and even organizations face the daunting task of navigating the often complex world of fundraising. And so, from understanding different investor types to crafting a compelling pitch, from doing your due diligence to post-investment relations, every step of the way requires a strategic approach. And so, today we've gathered an exceptional lineup and panel of experts who have first-hand experience both as investors and as founders who have successfully raised capital. They will share their valuable insights, practical strategies, and the lessons they've learned along the way to help us here demystify the fundraising journey and significantly increase our chances of attracting the right investors that are truly the right fit for us. So I would urge you to get ready to gain a comprehensive understanding of what it takes to build an investment ready company, to build an investable proposition, and forge lasting partnerships that drive sustainable growth for your business. If you're excited as I'm excited, I would love you to show your excitement in the comments and, of course, with your reactions as we dive into our speakers for the day. All right, so I will start with Mr. Samuel. Again, good morning to all our speakers and panelists. We're so glad to have you here. I will begin with Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel, so for founders and entrepreneurs, what do you believe are the absolute non-negotiables for a startup or business to have in place before even thinking about approaching investors? What are the absolute non-negotiables that a business or a startup should have in place before thinking about approaching investors? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Imo. I'm very, very much excited. It's my pleasure to be here today. Good morning, listeners, and good morning, co-speakers. Actually, before we even dive into this conversation, I want to believe our listeners are people that are founders, are people that have a product already. So we are not, this conversation is not actually meant for how to get your product out there or how to build something. So I want to believe we are talking to innovators. And to be sincere with you, I know sometimes the cost of building in Africa, most especially in Nigeria, because of building here in Nigeria, because I'm speaking from a founder's perspective now. And because of building from here in this country, it costs us a lot of things. Most especially, it costs us our sanity. You understand? But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. The back to the question now. There are some. See, before you can even think of bringing in an investors, to partner with you, to fund you in your idea, in your company, and the likes. There are some things that you also need to get in place just, for yourself as a founder. You don't just wake up one day to think, okay, it's not time for you to, to visualize or conceptualize your idea. It's now for you to go out there to say you can start raising funds. No, you don't just do that. Because from your perspective, you also have to put yourself in the shoes of the investors. If you are the investor and someone comes to you, what do you think that person should have before you can release your fund to that person? These are things that strategically you must make sure that you position yourself in such a way that even at all you are preaching to someone or meeting with someone, telling that person what you are building, at least you should have a way of strategically position yourself in such a way that before you even introduce yourself, introduce the product you are building and the likes, they're able to key into what you are saying. So you're not just saying it for the purpose of you trying to say something. You're not just saying for the purpose of you trying to, maybe you have something ongoing and you just want them to know. No, it doesn't work that way. So what are the things that you need to get in place, or what are the knowledge you need to gather before you even go out to say, okay, it is now you need funds, there are some things you need to make sure that you get upright, you know, getting your house clean and making sure that, okay, you really want, or let me say your company or your product really what an investors can come on board to fund you for. The first thing I have on my list here is just now, if you say you want to go out to seek for an investors, you have to make sure that you understand what niche or which niche are you operating from. You know, understand, okay, you are into fintech, your product is solving the problem in the filter in the fintech space. Understand the fact that if you want to go for an investors or position yourself to to be invested on, make sure that you go after people you know that these people have something to do with fintech, or they are engrossed with whatever solutions a fintech company is providing. You can't ask a fish to climb a tree, right? Because if you're trying to make sure that, okay, you just want to go and approach anybody to that person have fun, yeah, absolutely, that person have fun, that person is in a position to fund you. You just want to go after the person anyhow. If you are the kind of person that receive no for an answer, you understand? Yeah, if you are the kind of person that receive no to an answer, and by the time you receive no to an answer, it will weigh you down, it will downcast you. My dear, I will say there are some stage of fundraising that you shouldn't enter at all. So let me say this again. If you are the kind of person that when you receive no to an answer, it will downcast you, it will demoralize you. I will tell you there's some stage of funding that you don't even enter, because by that time, when you enter, you receive no. If you are pitching to an investors, no, getting a no as an answer is inevitable. So that should get in your brain that you are pitching to someone to invest their money. You are talking about money here, to invest their money into your own idea. The idea that you yourself could not even, you don't have the money to fund. Some people have the money, though. They think, partnering with people, to make sure that they get this out, it will actually give them more horizon. Then you should understand that you should always be getting no to an answer. Where by the time you get five no's, you can get yes, one yes, that will even, that will even be bigger than the no's that you've been getting. So make sure that you prepare your mind that you are going this field, you are going to fundraising, be expecting your no's, and understand the stage you belong to, or you have to understand the stage you belong to. Are you a pre-seed? No, maybe you're coming from an idea base. You don't have an MVP yet. You don't have a product. No, you should understand that this kind of stage I am. Who are the kind of investors that can approach? You understand? So when you are coming as a seed, pre-seed level now, you're just coming, you came up with an idea, this idea has been with you for years. Now it's time for you to conceptualize your idea, and you think now you want to go out for fun because the idea is even way more. Maybe you are not a technical funder, you need a technical partner, you need this team, you want to set a team. Then from there, if you are unable to negotiate your way out of your team to see how they can come on board on equity, or maybe you want them to there are some little expenses that are not being incurring, and you don't have a fund. You want to go out there. There are some investors you don't go and meet. There are some investors you don't go and approach based on the kind of stage you belong to. So if you don't have an idea of that, you just be beating the bush. I mean, I would like to put it, you just be nailing the nail on the wrong position, expecting you to be getting yes. Okay, if for instance, for instance, you as a guy that's coming from the pre-seed level, and you want to go and meet a VC to fund your idea. VC are already the level they're aiming is a growth level. They want to see what you've done, what the traction, how much have you pulled yet, where are you, and what's the projection. You should know that, okay, this kind of level I am, okay, let me just go by agent investors or maybe friends and family. You understand? So understand the level you belong to. Once you understand the level you belong to, you know exactly how or where you are, how you want to push it further. There's always a stage per issue. So it's not expected, you are not even expected to raise all the funds you need in your whole your business at once. You understand? Because by the time you are waiting for that, you will not start anything. So that is for that. So another thing I have on my list here is I'm sorry, I'm coming. Another thing I have on my list here is now, like I mentioned something that understanding the niche you have. Understanding the niche that your investors also know what is the traction of these investors. These investors are invested. What is the projection like? These investors are invested so many in so much company. Then which area or specialization do they really focus their attention to? Is it, are you into air tech? Are you into fintech? Are you into, okay, understand the fact that approaching or targeting investors that have a traceable investment in companies that that are related to yours is actually going to give you a niche, because you can't ask, okay, when you ask a fish to climb a tree, like I mentioned the other time, you are devaluing the process of that fish, because it will be telling you that it's not possible. Meanwhile, tree climbing is the king, is the highest peak for a monkey. You understand? If it's a monkey, you ask a monkey to climb a tree, he will be very happy to climb it, from one branch to the other. Then you ask that monkey to jump into a river. How do you think that the monkey will look at you? You are trying to devalue the monkey as well. Be seen as if this river you ask him to jump into it can cause the end of my life. Whereas the fish that lives in the river, they are flourishing. That's why identify your investors is very much important. Then at the same time, position yourself for a leadership role as a founder. I used to have from our company. We used to have this issue with some founders that are technical. We have an academy that we train people, and after that, after our academy, they feel like, okay, I have this idea I want to work with, and I've been nurturing this idea for a while, and I want to work on this idea. Fine, they have the technical know-how, they have the skill now because they have undergo a training, and they want to go into the idea straight up. By the time you build the idea as a technical founder, there's this something that a technical founder always live with, and it's FOMO, fear of unknown. There's you've been away from a lot of experiences, because by the time you're a technical founder, you are on your system back to back working on your idea. There are a lot of things that is going out that you don't know it, that you don't even know how to maneuver as a business wise to make sure that you make your business, your idea grow. But when it comes to the technical aspect of it, you are good. So which means, how do you position yourself in a leadership role? Make sure you bring teams. How many teams did you have? How are these teams complementing your weakness? Don't go and bring a team member that is the same thing with you, that can solve the same problem you are solving. These are things that the investors, when you pitch to them, there's nothing bad in approaching an investors from a pre-seed level. There's nothing bad in approaching an investors from a seed level when you already have your MVP. You understand? And there's nothing bad in, okay, when you say you want to enter your Series A and the growth level and the likes. You understand? But who are your team? Who are the people in your team? You understand? So when you don't position yourself in the role of a leadership, how would you be able to manage team? How would you be able to make sure that, because if you don't get your house in order, investors will look more than what you yourself are saying. You are giving the traction, you are giving the evaluation, you are even giving the projection that is not even real. They know that what you are giving them is not real, because they are faces a lot of entrepreneur telling them all they have invested in a lot of businesses that could not even yield result for them. They know what they are doing is they are playing gambling with their money. They invest into five, one or two out of five flourish. Those two can feed or can give them their money back that they are invested into the other. You understand? That is the game that investors are playing. I'm sure our investors in the house will put an enlightenment on that. That is not my area. But what I'm saying as a founder is that you should be able to position yourself in such a way that you can get yourself in order, get your house in order. And if you are projecting a growth level from your pre-seed or from your seed level, it should start from how you're able to manage your team. If you can't manage a team of 5, how would you be able to manage a customer base of 5 million? Do you understand? Because everything rests and falls on leadership. So those are the things that we need to put in place as a founder. I was in China. I was in China in May. You understand? I met with some investors. What took me to China was we are partnered with a lot of startup here as a technical partner. You understand? We are looking out for bringing in international body. You understand? An investor in international body. And that was what took me to China. I was in a conversation with these people, and you should have an understanding how these people are previewing founders from Africa. I'm sure 80% of founders in this country, in this our country, Nigeria, do not know that what Asia investors are preview or what they are seeing, their perspective of Nigeria or Africa founders is different from what all of us want to be in Silicon Valley. All of us want to get our investors from US. We want to get our investors from the UK. But we've not seen from that angle that these Asian investors are even much more better than these people we have been using that playbook for the past few years. We are using playbook that are not even giving us yield because we are using another playbook in another continent that is giving us a different environment. Do you understand? So now these people are telling us, you guys are trying. How are you guys able to build the challenges? If you can build in that chaos and if you can build in that country with a lot of challenges and you're able to pull this trash, they were able to they gave us the listening here and was like, oh guys, let's do this. But what really amazed me was that their perception about Africa founders, which means either way or the other, our founders here in this country are actually doing well because maybe they have been seeing something different online. Most of them are not here, and most of them are invested millions of dollars in so-called popular company that we know in Nigeria here. A lot of them, they have investments, fintech from China. You understand? Now, we have our people that are Asian investors in this country. We have VCs in this country but these people are seeing us finish. They know exactly what this country is all about. So you must make sure that you know exactly where your fund is going to. That is another point I'm picking out now. These are people here in Nigeria. You want to go and meet someone that is in Yaba, and investors that is in Yaba, that understand the nitty-gritty, that understand the country, that understand the user base, that understand the everything. What do you want to tell? What do you want to tell this person? Okay, you need 5 million, you need $10,000, $100,000, $5 million. What for? What do you want to use this money for? So make sure that you have a clarity of where your money is going to, what you want to use this money for. Have a clarity that your investor will be able to key into and have an understanding of what exactly you want to use the money for. Don't say you want to use the money to pay salary. If you are in that state that you are using investors' money to pay salary, then you've not even built something yet. You understand? Because by the time you are giving money, because you don't even know when, you don't even know at what. Okay, you are paying salary that you don't have a product yet. You are saying the MVP process. Some people, your MVP take 2 years. Some that is supposed to take maybe 1, 2, 3 months. Thank God we have AI. We have a lot of copilot that will help you now to get a faster MVP.
I'm
But
so
people,
sorry. I'm so sorry, Mr. Samuel. So sorry to interrupt you, but we don't want you to share all this gold in one take because we have a lot of things we want to get out of you and other speakers. So sorry to interrupt you.
oh,
Uh,
all right, all right.
yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you so much for the
This
challenge.
conversation is actually so
Yes,
interesting in
yes, I
such a way
can see you
that
speaking from a place of
thank
passion
you. I
as a
think I
founder.
think I will hang it off now. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much. And if there's something I could get from your point, um, not just having growth at all costs. And I've never heard this anywhere or seen this on a LinkedIn post or anywhere online, right? It is that personal touch that you brought to it, where you shared how we are being viewed by by our Asian counterparts. And so for me, as a tech professional, what that just shows me is that there's a different perspective that we are being viewed by people in Asia, and it is not just growth at all costs. It is more of understanding, empathy, in as much as they are supporting us. So that is quite amazing, and I believe this is something that is a deep insight for anyone wanting to build a business or in the stage of building a business. Thank you for refocusing us from your personal experience on what to do and how to approach investments. Thank you so much. And please, speakers and panelists, I would please implore you to turn on your cameras for an immersive experience. We're streaming this to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram as well. And so our attendees, of course, would love to see your videos for an immersive experience because it is a video meeting. Thank you, Mr. Kundayo. I saw you joined much later, so thank you for coming on stage. But my next question, I want to go to a VC as well. So, Mr. Francis, you are a senior executive at a VC firm. Mr. Francis, are you still, okay, yeah, you're here. Thank you so much. So, you are a senior executive at a VC firm. So, I want to know in 5 to 7 minutes, uh, from an investor's perspective, what are the top 2 to 3 green flags that you look for in a company or team during the initial assessment? And what are some, maybe 1 or 2 red flags that would make you pass on a deal? Mr. Samuel did a good job of highlighting some of those things from a founder's and investor's perspective. But for you who sits on the table and assesses startups, businesses every day, what are the top 2 to 3 green flags that makes you say yes to a deal? And what are the red flags that make you pass up on a deal? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. It's Franklin, by the way, not Francis.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
Thank you very much for the question and the opportunity. I think, especially from when I say investors, is like very broad. So I'll speak to being a VC. So for a VC, to be specific in what that actually focuses on, VCs are just basically financiers for startups, which are technology or tech-enabled businesses that have characteristics of high scalability and growth, among other things. So, and those particular startups are usually early stage businesses, of which you can actually break down the stage in which they actually operate in, especially from a funding round perspective. Um, with regards to green flags, I would say there are multiples, but two that stick out for me every time is the founder and the team in terms of expertise, capability, strategy, and whether they're interested in building a business or they want to buy a Mercedes with revolving wheels. So that clarity of kind of like understanding who they are, whether they have the right capabilities, and whether they are actually looking at it from a very strategic standpoint is actually very key. But above all, the founder is one from, especially with regards to idea and execution. But another key component is what they are building, is it of value for the market or the customer base in which they are targeting. So there needs to be there's that general narrative of product market fit, but underneath that product is the actual value, whether what you're building is actually meeting a need or a pain point for the customer. And if it is, have you engaged with that customer at some level? And if you have, are they willing and open to you not just using it but paying for it over a period of time? So those are very important green flags that one would want to see and one would want to hear, and hear the founders or the people building that particular startup to articulate quite properly. In terms of what one wouldn't want to see, everyone doesn't want. I believe that no one wants to lose money. If you're backing startups, you need that sense that they are building, people of seriousness are building from position or perspective or value. And I mean, that's not to say that at the end of the day there's no potential for failure, but you want a sense that you're analyzing deals from a perspective of risk mitigation, and even if there's going to be a failure, let it be a failure in terms of it not be the right time to actually build that particular, offer that particular position to the market, and maybe the market is not as scalable as one would have thought. But I think from the perspective of who you're doing business with, which is allocating capital to this particular founder and this particular team, there needs to be clarity that you have confidence in their capabilities and expertise. So that's how I would actually do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. Thank you for bringing the salient points up on stage. So I quickly want to move to Mr. Chibuike because Mr. Chibuike, you happen to, in my opinion, sit on two fences, right? I believe you strategically sit on two fences, one as a CEO of a company, and then one as a director of a VC firm. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But in your opinion, Mr. Chibike, please can you come on stage? Yes, thank you. In your opinion, I want to ask you two crucial questions. I want to know from your perspective, how crucial is a well-defined business plan and financial model in attracting investors? What are the key components of this business and financial model planning that truly stand out? And as you answer that, I want you to also answer that beyond the numbers of this financial model and everything that founders try to put in business plan, how important is a compelling narrative? How important is a compelling story in capturing an investor's interest? And you could also share what elements makes a story compelling or resonate to investors and even partners. Thank you, Mr. Chibuike. Mr. Chibuike, are you there, please? Oh, I think we seem to have lost him. But I would reserve that question for him because it is quite important that he answers that. So, Mr. Kundayo, I would come to you because as a founder, you have to pitch all the time. I learned quite early in my beginning or the beginning of my tech career that founders don't just pitch to investors, they pitch even to employees, they pitch to partners, they pitch to customers as well, they pitch to users. So I want to know for someone who literally pitches every day because every day founder has to talk about their product. What are the key differences in how you tailor a pitch for different types of investors? So what are the key differences in how you tailor it to an angel investor, to VC, and to strategic partners? And maybe as you answer that, also let us know that in today's business environment, what innovative or less conventional methods have you used to get in front of the right investors in your business journey? Thank you.
So, can you hear me?
Loud
okay,
and
so I want to talk. So let my guy go first.
clear.
No, sorry,
If my mentor talk, let him
the thing
talk
just
first.
logged me out before, but let's Secundayo go. I didn't hear
All right.
most of the question you were talking to me, but
I will
it
take
went off.
it. No, no problem. Mr. Kundaya, please.
Okay. Thank you for having me. It's pretty an interesting journey for me because I sit on two sides of the coin. And when I mean I sit on two sides of the coin, I also run a bit of an investment side of conversation. So we have investment in fintech, where we've scaled up to become a microfinance, and we do all of that there, lending. We have investment in real estate, the fast moving side, which is we have the static ones, and then we have also expanded our portfolio into Airbnbs, where we have almost 40 pieces of that across a certain place. So we have to look at the numbers, you look at the profitability, be sure this thing is going to work. And your burn rate needs to be controlled. I've tried to go into other continents to do investments. It's not as easy as it is. And then we're operating in about 8 countries currently, including French-speaking countries. So sometimes the idea about pitching your conversations to investors, to partners, and all of that, it's kind of crazy. Um, One is that you must know your numbers and you must understand the kind of funds you're looking for. I'm currently seated at a hub where we're putting together for as an accelerator, and also we want to make it an incubator. And within weeks of putting it up, we already have about $2 million in partnership that we want to give to startups in terms of products from a particular big partner that we're working with in Nigeria. So until we do official announcement, I may not call names, but that's going to get to about 1,000, if possible, about 1,000 startups that we want to give products in Nigeria. So $2 million pitch is not a conversation that you just go with the like you must see numbers and they must know what you're doing and you must have track record. Then the first thing people should try to do, especially when you want to develop a proper pitch that will help you get a lot of revenue, is the fact that can you win a $1,000 pitch? Can you win a $2,000 pitch? Some of the people I've partnered with or the people I've grown with will tell me, oh, maybe they're in the US and there is a school competition and they need to win a $1,000, $2,000 pitch. I bring industry experience on the table and we have the conversation. And when people see how it's being done, I've been able to win on this small 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 1,000. I've even tried the simple Tonilumelu pitch and win money from there. Those are basic fundamentals that will help you scale to the 100,000 to the $1 million that you want to scale into. The other side to it is that, do you understand what kind of revenue model each investors watch out for? So, for example, I'm keen, if I'm going to invest in any business, I'm keen about recurring predictable income. If your business does not have a subscription model, I'm not really keen about putting money into it, which means that, for example, when people came to me with the Airbnb model, I was literally in Abuja, that was 5 years ago, and I was taking a house for 500K a month, and then the whole idea came and stuff, putting about 10 million then. And then I was able to predict that on an average, you have maybe 10 to 15 days occupancy. This is what it comes to and all of that. And we're able to predict what the money and the numbers will look like. So we scaled. So we know what salary should be, how many staff should be in a building and all of that. So now when we're doing it, we already have a template. And if somebody comes now and say, I want to fund you guys, we can scale faster because we've been able to practice it on a smaller scale. But also understand that we may not be in that space for maybe things like apps and all of that. So there's an app we partnered with, we're pushing it. It's an HMO app and similar model. We are focused on the number of people who download and use. We're not focused on number of people download because most people come, oh, this number of people, this is not traction. For me, traction is revenue, is money. If somebody wakes up, because I like to have money from day one in any investment. So from day one, if you're selling Akara, can we expand it into 50 locations? And what is the model? Are we going to buy pan? Okay, let me give you a very granular way. I started doing some investments some years ago. So you know these guys who sell puff puff on the road and on the street who just hit and stuff. Um, Somehow, while I was passing by our old office then, and I just called the guy, boys were eating popcorn, and then I asked him, how much is the total stuff? He said it was 9,000. How much is the box? It was 7,000. How much do you return um, to the owner? You know, it returns, the total returns was 9,000. So what's your profit? 3,000 a day. So I said, okay, do you have other people who can do this thing? He said, yes, provided the fund. We did that. And every day they just bring 1,000 naira to the house, and my house help will register that you've done this. And all I need you to do is to bring that money for 60 days. which makes it 60,000 naira. I've gotten my primary investment and I've gotten that thing scaled into almost 15 people within a space of 6 months. Because as you're exiting, you're bringing somebody else. Because after those 60 days, it becomes your own stuff. So it was a form of empowerment, but was a revenue model for investment. So I can predict how much I should get, how much you are getting, just 1,000 naira every day for 60 days. My whole capital investment is less than 20 million. I mean 20,000, sorry. So when you look at business from that perspective, you'll be able to predict what are the granular process involved in this. So when we became 15, it means I'm getting 15,000 a day. You're fine, I'm fine. And then you're able to get yourself a good negotiation. Very simple primary. I can tell you how we invested in an hair salon. I used to go there, the guy was not doing super well. I said, let's expand. But then you have to become a businessman. You can't be babbing. Then we need 6 more people to sit in here. Let all the barbers take chair and you'll be paying me X amount every then it was 400 and something thousand. And then the guy was paying me 17,000 every Monday from the barbers. So the barbers will contribute. I don't know how much it takes from them, but my 17,000 was for almost 2 years. So it's a model that most times do I have an exit plan with the investment I'm putting on the table? Will my other guys have an exit plan? Will the investor have an exit plan, even with the business model I'm running? And what is our cash flow model? Are we doing subscription? Are we predictable? Are we standardizing our processes? Who monitors? How does it come back to us? So all those are the things that you put in your pitch. And then the culture of the person you are pitching to really, really matters. And when I mean culture, I was reading about an India startup that went off the market recently because of bad capital. So, in signing up for capital, they got a lot of money, about $10 million. But the guy said, oh, he wanted 30 something percent, but will control buying and processing decision. And that whole process killed. They could not get more capital, they could not scale fast. They were already in 35,000 locations. Things just went bad. So, most time the kind of capital and the culture of the person giving you the capital is very important. So if you read the story of local investors, maybe people who invested in likes of Printivo, all of those people, you will see the culture of investment, the culture of the person who is investing in you, because first they invest in you as a person before they think of the business. How do they see you? Do you have there is this thing that they speak like a adage that says that the needle that has a thread tied to it cannot easily be missing. Do you have where they can trace you to? Is there something they can track or see about you that is very important? So those are things that need to be worked on. Sorry, something is ringing on my phone. Okay, so those are very, very critical parts of the conversation that needs to be looked at. Most times, people show up, they just want me to give you money, and then you go and start something and use my money for experiment or for excitement. Oh, I'm a good guy, people should trust me. Money don't work that way. If that's how money work, I will be very rich, because I've seen several people who are very rich who will come to me and say, Adayo, if you say anything, we can put money. Yes, but the culture, the person I know says anything, put money, it will buy you and kill you. I know of businesses in Nigeria who have gone to pitch to people, and after they finish pitching, even some of the big events that you see, food events and all of that. Last night, I was still at an event that they want to host some people, very massive, December and all of that. Bronner Boy producer was there. A lot of people were there last night. That okay, this is what we want to do for, and they said I want to go and pitch to a particular bank. And somebody objected in that meeting that if you go take it to this bank, they will fund it the first time. And after then, the bank would take over this project. And it's just normal. So you're also careful for those short-term gains, short-term investment, so that they don't overrun your business. They don't control your business, because you also need to understand that corporate governance is going to come in. If I'm putting money into your business, I would want to know how the money is coming and going out, and how much you're making, how much you will be making, so that I don't plant a tree and go and sleep. I need to make sure I water it and make sure it's growing. If I see opportunities, I bring it your way. How do you manage it? I pulled out of an Airbnb investment before because of the manager that they put in charge of the place. Everybody I send in there would come back with a complaint, and she didn't know I was involved. So I automatically told myself, "Okay, I want to go and sleep there." And I saw the experience telling me that, "Oh, sorry, I can't give you Netflix because there is no subscription." That shows that there is a problem. Subscription of 11,000, and I just paid you about 100K to sleep here, and you're telling me there is no subscription. That shows that there is a problem with the money, either the guy or so I had to pull out my investment. So it's how it works, and you must understand the workings before you go and pitch. Pitch, there are a lot of elements. If you go online, you can find out the kind of things you can pitch for. But there's a big gap. Last 2 weeks, we did a conversation with some people in Silicon Valley. They are big on AI, anything that is not powered by AI. We've spoken to almost 6 people in the past. Listen, AI, AI, AI. AI is the thing that is going to drive your engine behind, and that's what they are big on. But do we have AI infrastructure in Nigeria? I don't think so, to support that kind of thing. So if you're doing something like this, you're doing AI, I'll just be smiling. I have a glass here that even because of the kind of expansive business we're doing now, where I'm speaking to people, maybe the person I'm speaking to is speaking French. The glass, once I put it on, it will start translating to English for me because I'm talking to people who are not in my culture. So I need to understand what I'm saying. Then I type what I want to say, translate and paste to you. But you can talk. I can't really talk to you because you don't even understand what I'm saying. And I have people there's somebody in Brazil we're working with, which every time we need to copy, translate, paste, copy, translate, paste, because we're getting money from that source, and we must be able to adapt to the kind of opportunities that is in that place. So I'm saying this now that generally the pitching game is totally different from what it used to be, and you must know how your numbers go for you to always win. That's just my two cover on this conversation. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Mr. Kudayo, thank you for bringing, I would say, the street element to this conversation, because that's what makes it real and relatable. And trust me, that's what's going to make it stick to our brains. I love the different analogies of the VC in Yaba, the investments you've made, the power being salon, the bonds is all very real and relatable. And I love one statement you said, where you said that in any investment you make, you want to and you try to see how you can make money from day one. I believe that should be like a spike to founders and anyone listening, because sometimes we over project, and sometimes we allow analysis paralysis to get into how we think about revenue generation. I was in a business community event last night that said that uh, that uh, that revenue is vanity and that profitability is sanity. So most of the things you said just kind of mix that in a bit. But while I come back to you, the second element of the question I asked was, in your perspective, what are some non-conventional ways you have raised money or gotten in front of the right investors? So please just sit on that so that when we come to you next, you can also take that as well. But Mr. Chibuike, I would take your question again. Thank you so much for rejoining. So I was asking that you happen to sit on two fences, right? As a company owner, and I believe you also give out funding through your company Astrovest. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to know how crucial is a well-defined business plan and financial model in attracting investors, and what are the key components that truly stand out in this business and financial modeling plan? And as you answer that, beyond the numbers in all of these two documents, how important is a compelling narrative or story in capturing an investor's interest, and what elements really makes that story resonate to investors? Thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much for this. It's been a very, would I say, um, learning time, because we learn every day. And I really like the profile of people you have put in here. I'm also learning a lot from them. Yes. Your, I'll speak first on the story. Now, after you, that is the founder, you have while the investor or the investor has fallen in love with you, the next thing they want to hear is your story. Because I see that before you can attract somebody to put in his hard-earned money or the money that he's managing in you, he needs to look at how you sell, how you communicate it. That's after they have believed in you as a person. And then I look at what's the markets you are targeting. How are you able to communicate the rudiments of that market? So your story has to tell how every user is going to be dropping chip-ins. What I mean chip-ins is every user who comes in contact with your business is going to be giving you money. How are you able to make all those things convincing? And compelling story doesn't come from your ability to write stories. It comes sometimes from your innate experience of that business. Because I think it was a Kundaya that said that, and also the first speaker. In this part of the market, most investors or angels are not going to fund your idea. They're going to fund what you have started and working. So there is this thing they used to say that if you think this idea or this business is good enough, why don't you put your first money in it? So if you can put your money into it, then we can trust you to put our money. So your business plan, your story has to be really, really convincing. You can be in a room. I've been in a room where I told, when in the early days of Duchess, I was in a room where I sold the chase, and everybody in that room never understood what I was saying. I was telling them, okay, we're building an advertising platform where publishers and advertisers, some cliche things, all of them never understood what I was saying. But one interesting thing was that people there believed me, and they just said, okay, if you could live where you were before to come and do this, then we should give you a second chance. Now, that second chance enabled me to bring down that story to a common man language. Now, you don't go speaking to investors and you're talking cliche or you're talking complex things. Those guys are not interested. In fact, some of the investors you're actually going to meet are people who have money and just have interest in what you're doing, but they don't understand the business. So you have to break it down to what a single man, a simple person is going to understand, to what a strict person is going to understand. That makes it easy for you to sell. Another thing is your business plan. Now, in your business plan, there are some key elements that must be there. How are you going to make money? Everybody comes to those investors. I must tell you, for every investor you are meeting, he has 101, let's say, pitches that he's going through, and you are just one of them. How are you going to make money? And then, how much are you going to be making in 5 years? How much are you going to make in 10 years? Those things have to be in your business plan. They have to be real compelling. If you are, let's say you're currently making 50,000, but you're telling us that you're going to be making 1 billion tomorrow, they look at you as you are dreaming. But it has to be realistic. Even if you are going the side of Elon Musk, that you want to build something that is quantum, but there has to be a realistic connection between your present realities and what the business is going to be tomorrow. That way, they can say, okay, we can follow on with this guy. And then another aspect is your person. So investors chiefly invest in the person. In your story, is it original? Is it real? Are you realistic? Are you speaking to things that they agree with? Are you speaking to things that resonate with them? So it has to be just more than just communication. It has to be real compelling for them to believe in you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chibuike. One thing I just like you said when you came on stage, you said you do appreciate the lineup of speakers. One thing I would also give as a compliment to the speakers is the vulnerability that all of you have brought into today's conversation. I know that sounds like a closing statement from me, but I just can't keep it to the end because I have seen a lot of times where people come and they just make their comments so superficial and everything. But one thing I love, and I'm so grateful for is the energy that every speaker and panelist brought and the vulnerability and relatability to their story. A lot of us try to talk about our success without talking about our failure. So thank you for bringing up the fact that you didn't do so well in the first speech, but then they gave you a chance, right? When people are telling their success story, they don't say that. They just say, "Oh, I pitched, I got this, and we are here. We're successful." So thank you for that vulnerability. I really do appreciate. So I would come back to you, Mr. Success. Thank you so much for remaining on stage. I want to know from not just a founder perspective, but someone who has built successful businesses. Um, what common mistakes, because when you were speaking, you touched on this in your own in your own point. What common mistakes do you see entrepreneurs make in their pitch decks or presentations? We Mr. Chibika has spoken about the fact that sometimes we can be very verbose and just using the cliche words without being relatable. But I've come to learn that clarity trumps being clever. So, what common mistakes have you seen entrepreneurs make in their pitch decks or presentation, and how can they be avoided? And as you answer that, just quickly touch on the fact that how can founders effectively demonstrate traction and market validation, especially in the early stages, to build investor confidence. Mr. Yeni was speaking about the fact that he wants to see how you're making money. Revenue is key for him. So, yeah, thank you so much. Hello, Mr. Samuel, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't mention my name earlier on.
Oh, sorry.
All right. I don't know. I'm trying to put on my camera. Sorry. I don't know. I may not be able to put on my camera now. I'm so sorry about that. If I can just go ahead, right? Can I?
Yes, yes, please, just go ahead.
All right. You asked for common mistakes in pitch why founders are pitching, right?
Yes, what common mistakes do they make in their presentations and pitch decks?
All right. So this thing is very straightforward actually, and I think it was Mr. Ekundayo that mentioned this. I don't know if Mr. Ekundayo or the last speaker that mentioned this. You know, sometimes when you're trying to pitch to investors, always make sure that you go straight to the point. You understand? There was a man that told me one time, he said, if you want to lose an investors in just 5 minutes, you want to lose them, just overload them with data. Just don't show them the storyline. I was like, okay, how do you mean by that? You are so much a growth to let your investor to know that this idea is a good idea. It can pull this, these are the datas, but you forgot to tell the story. You forget to tell your investor the story behind it. How it's not the data. The data will not truly data is money, right? But at the point of the you trying to convince your investors to invest their hand and money into your business, they want to hear from you far beyond what you are showing them. So avoid in everything at all. Just avoid jargons, over complicated slides. Don't try to show the investors that there are a lot of data, according to what I've done my research, and these are what there is, these are what we can get. They don't need those data. They know that those data can be fabricated. They know that they are not real. They are not real data. You understand? So they want to hear from you how you can actually move further. If they are coming to join you, how can you, what do you have in line, to make sure that you push the vehicle further and to get them to where they want to get to. They already have their own, forget whatever you are bringing to them. They know the problem you are solving, right? You're solving a certain problem, you are bringing a solution. They just want to hear from you. What are the what is the storyline? Just go straight to the point. So don't avoid unrealistic projections. You want to hit $10 million in 1 year, you want to hit, before you even get to that space, are you aware these investors are in the space already? They have understand. So I think it's high time founders started believing that any system ecosystem you are coming into, that you are preaching to investors. Don't see if they are only if they are just local investors that are not really investors. No, they are investors by nomenclature. That is not what they do. You don't pitch to VC or even as well as Asian investors that is what they do in their life to invest. They have seen a lot, they have met with a lot of founders and the likes. Even the space, the ecosystem you are coming into, they are already in that system. So they know exactly, forget the projections. They don't say you don't project, no problem. You are allowed to project whatever amount you want to project in your revenue. But then give a realistic projection. Let them see before before them also get to where they are, they started from somewhere. So they want to see that you are starting from this level, but you are giving them a very realistic projection that will take you and the investor to a certain peak in the line of the business. So I think that is it for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much because the statement I heard in pitching, which is the fact that clarity trumps clever. I'm happy that you back that up also from an experience as well. And a point you made about approaching investors, and I love the fact that you said, except they are investors just by nomenclature, by title, that's how you will be able to bamboozle them or whatever. But I saw a post by the chairman of Zion's Group, that's the SAS Leo Stanike, right? Who's done amazing things with technology and infrastructure. And he said something about investment and founders. He said that the challenge that he has with modern day founders that he's trying to back is that they come demanding a lot, right? A lot in terms of finances, not minding or not taking into consideration that the people that they're asking to back them actually started small, and not just small, but they were able to do a lot with little. And so there's that disconnect between the current day investors in Nigeria and the current day founders. And that's the challenge, in the fact that founders these days don't really see that the possibility in doing so much with little, or in starting with little patient capital. So thank you for bringing up that point as well. So I would be going to Mr. Franklin. I want us to discuss a bit and close out with the investor relationship aspect of things and beyond. So we know that due diligence can be a rigorous process, right? But so what should founders expect, and how can they best prepare to streamline this phase? Because it is a phase that, of course, is a kicker to success or failure. So thank you.
Thanks for that. I think it's always very important that founders get a good sense of the diligence process of every investor. Some people make decisions as quickly as possible. Some of them have much more extensive diligence processes that take a good amount of time, and also has a key amount of players as well. So it's always very important that they ask that question during those calls or during those engagement of, if they are, especially when they've gotten that first phase of interest and they want to kind of like further diligence, and they need to get a sense of what their process is like and how long it takes in many respects. Um, to the point of the diligence process, are you asking for me to explain the diligence process? I'm trying to understand your question.
Yes, yes. I said, how best can they prepare to streamline this phase? You've already mentioned what they should expect. I want you to touch on how best they can prepare to streamline that phase of due diligence, which is, of course, a rigorous process.
In terms of them being best to prepare, it's about just getting the facts straight, in my opinion, in terms of the documentation that you're putting in vogue. You need to say, okay, what would the investor be looking out for? So
Okay.
everything the investor will be looking out for would most likely be in your data room. And there's a checklist of things to look at around the team, around the product, the underlying tech infrastructure, the markets assessment, competitive assessment, incorporation, legal reviews, and a whole lot of things that will be checked out at different phases. Some investment teams usually have early stage diligence, which leads to it's like a pre-IC of sorts. And that early stage, what somebody is looking at is just to review the data room at the initial, or make an initial case on whether they should further diligence the company. If there's that clarity on whether they should further diligence the company based on that initial investment case, what they need, what will be required next is, okay, everything that we've assessed on uh, paper and based on research and engaging with the founder, because the diligence process is a validation and verification process. We need to verify it, further validate it. So there are scenarios where an investor will not actually invest in you until they've spoken to every member of the team across different departments, spoken to your customers, spoken to your partners, because in a sense that at the end of the day, that the value you speak about and the way in which you offer that particular value to customers, if you're saying one thing and they're saying something else, there's a mismatch. The story needs to be clear and everything. So for me, I think it's down to all the facts, all the documents, and the value being clear. I think those are very important components.
Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. Thank you for giving us those salient points. I love the fact he said about getting your documentation right and getting your facts right. In my opinion, this also ties into what Mr. Samuel and Mr. Ayeni had said about knowing who you're speaking to, because different investors require different things. And of course, they also, their own time to decision making is also different. So you have to do before you present yourself for due diligence, you have to also do your due diligence about the funder as well, because you need to understand and know if this is the right funding for you, or if this is even the right funding at the time phase of your business existence. All right, Mr. Yeni, I would come back to you, and I hope you still have my question in your pocket. But as you take that, I want you to also touch on beyond capital, what are the most valuable aspects an investor can bring to the table, right? Example, mentorship, network expertise, industry relations. How can founders even identify investors who offer this added value? I would add a bit of element to it. It's easy to check up an investor on maybe Crunchbase, Angel List, LinkedIn for local investors, but we know there's something called old money where they don't have social
Yeah.
profile. So how can a founder like myself, anyone listening here, how can they do that research to identify founders who offer investors rather who offer this added value? And yeah, how can they identify investors and what can they look out for that's most valuable in their business?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let me start with the first question about how do you even get in front of an investor? That was the first question you asked the other time.
Yes,
Now,
and
there are many
unconventional
ways.
ways you yourself have gotten in front of investors to get funding.
Okay,
Yes.
so there are many ways, and I will try to mention just a few briefly. One is usually the typical thing is to have a network, right? People who have done it before become their friend, and if they trust you enough, they'll put you in front of those people. So if you see somebody who have been in YC, that's Y Combinator, it's very easy for the person to put your document together with you, know what is predictable, what they expect, and the person will put you there if you any of the funds. And some of them are highly based on recommendation. So if I put money in business A and the thing works well, if business A comes and recommend a friend or a colleague or something, I will most likely have some sort of that first. Your kind of friends and network is very important. The second one is that you need to go to what they call the opposite meetings. Now, the opposite meetings, you would almost never see me in my industry meetings. They're doing something around my industry, you'll not see me there. But if lawyers or doctors are doing stuff, I'm excited to go to those meetings because another way you secure funding is that the people in that space have some sort of funds. They're interested in tech, they're interested in marketing, they're interested in what you do on the other side, but they don't even have a bridge. They don't know how to get there. So you rather go to those meetings, have an opportunity to speak about what you do, and then you will find people who have some sort of money that they are not using again and they can invest in what you're doing, which is one critical part. So opposite thinking is usually an opportunity for you to get some sort of opportunities through the door. Then business schools. And when I mean business schools, for example, I went to a business school in Nigeria because I was bored. It wasn't because I really need to be in those classes. I was just bored. 80% of what I was taught in class was something I already knew, somehow, maybe implemented one way or the other. But what that did for me was that my network became a bit enlarged. And this was, now I'm going to tell you how something played out in the class. And I didn't know till when I finished. So I happened to be traveling a lot while I was in the business school, but it was required that you attend all your classes in full. So if you miss your class in your own set, you will be in the next set also. So what that means is that it built two networks for me. The network of the people who were in my class, and then the network of the people who I went to join their classes. So my class was just roughly about 17 of us. The other class was about 30 something. And then their class now had foreigners coming from Kenya, which was about 60. So that gave me a huge network to access. So these are guys who, some of them, there's a guy who has a private jet in the class. So he's not broke, he's not begging you for money, right? He can afford, he can pay all our school fees in that class. But that was a bridge to that guy. Now, I had a major general that is in my class, which had kept keeping up my relationship with him because every of his birthday I must give him a gift. Now, my gift is usually like a goat or something, just for the guy to be excited. What that also means is that I now also have opportunity to access his own network in a way. So he comes and brings up an idea. He calls me randomly one day and says, Ayeni, can you make this happen for me? We have these guys who want to do this. So I'm able to sit down with that kind of network and see that some of them have this money, but I'm not able to even get the money out yet. There is somebody in my class who had met that network, who has raised over $25 billion, I mean, billion naira, sorry, for real estate in Nigeria from that network, from the Generals network, because they are military guys, they have access to some sort of funds, they are all retired. So it's a process that you would also look at that, okay, because some of the things we talk about VCs, funders, angel investors, we usually think they're just group of people who sit in one room and they give you money. The places where you will find them are usually unconventional. Some may even be the baba that is your neighbor who has retired for long. He has this money, over a billion somewhere, but he needs to put it in something that will be working for him. So you can pitch to that guy and get money for him because where we're always looking for the structured capital instead of sometimes looking for the unstructured capital. It can be an old school classmate that has access to some sort of funding that can help you. I know somebody whose role is to build hotels. He's built his fourth hotel now, and all he's doing is that he has these guys who are in oil and gas, and they will raise money for him and he does the transaction. Like somebody who does oil lifting from Dangote, all he does is that he gets friends who will put money together, 300, 1 million, like that. They put it in a particular fund, and his own role is to lift oil from Dangote, sell in his gas station, and once it's 3 months, he then share revenue across board. That is another kind of funding or capital that he needs for his business. So not necessarily structured that, oh, we raise $1 million from Echo VC, we raised $2 million from so and so VC. No, sometimes the capital you're going to see is unstructured. And I've done things very interesting. I've sent in pizzas to guys. No, I want to get through the door. I send you a pizza branded with my logos and everything. And we've done, like currently we're doing a campaign of over 1,000 of that decision makers for a business we're generating leads for. And it's generating for us. So there are models. There is one unconventional way we go into even, okay, this one was more of like a marketing stuff. We go into a conversation. Okay, I was in a conference, the CEO of a company was speaking, and after he finished speaking, an insurance company, one of the biggest in Nigeria, I just approached his PA. What's your guy's shoe size? I took the shoe size, picked just one leg. Then we're working with David Wedge. We used to run all of his campaign. Bought a shoe that was nice, put it in the box, wrote my handwritten notes, wrote my marketing pitch there, and said, "Oh, I want to have a meeting with you, and this is my phone number. But I have one leg in the box in the office. I will need the other leg to come in. If you need the other leg of this shoe, call me for a meeting. You'll get it." Interestingly, the man invited us. Man was just laughing. Ah, you this stupid boy. Look at the kind of campaign, you know. We got in there. We got good money off them at that time. I think they paid us almost almost $7,000 or $8,000 to start a marketing campaign for them because we went the unconventional way to penetrate that client. So there are different approach for different people. Most times we don't need to necessarily stay in one structure. Now, the other part of the question, can you just refresh my mind a bit? The other part, just
Yes, happy to. It says beyond capital, what are the most valuable
okay, what are the
aspects
other?
this stock can bring to the table that
Yeah.
founders should look out for to add value?
So if the person giving you funds does not have a network, watch out. It can be a very dangerous thing to deal with. Now, if the person giving you funds is looking at you as his retirement plan, you also want to be very careful, else you have an indirect CEO or an indirect chairman for your company that will be controlling the conversation and be controlling your hands. Another thing that the person must be able to bring to the table is the fact that they must be able to bring business insights most times. Because if I'm investing in a particular thing, for example, there are sectors I don't invest in, no matter how good crypto is. I personally don't understand crypto. All the times I've tried to give people money to invest or do something, or they're building a machine or something, somehow the money used to have stories. So I don't understand that sector. But if it's real estate, for example, I invested in a real estate company, and my own role, part of my role is that my network, I bring them on board. And when I mean we're trying to do a power sales real estate company, and I know people who are developers who are my friends. So I'm bringing them on the table for my team to have a meeting with you and tell you that, oh, this is how we market, this is how we do this. Give us an exclusive deal. Let's wrap around this deal. We'll do the banners, we'll do all everything. Because I have marketing as a background. I have a marketing agency, a digital agency that runs in the background. So I understand the marketing that they want to do. So I bring that as my own part of the conversation. So in strategy sessions, I'm telling you what to do and how to go about it. Beyond the fact that I'm putting money on the table to pay salaries or do run, keep the lights running. So that when these things are coming, there are other sweats that I'm putting into it. So my experience is also important in the place of investment sometimes, not all of the time, but some of the time. Now, then the other thing you also want to get them to bring on the table is that would they allow other people come into the table, into the pot along the line? Would they allow, okay, so today I raised maybe $1 million from you and we want to scale. We need to raise $10 million. Will you allow me? Are you willing? Will you be secured enough to let's put this thing inside the pot again and reshare or do something? Will this person allow us to do that? Will they give me free hands? Do they understand governance? Do they understand corporate governance? Do they understand how money moves? Do they understand the responsibility of each party? Do they understand that even if you want to pace my funding, okay, I'll give you 500K today, tomorrow 200K, will they be responsible and have that integrity that is necessary for that funds to go that way, which is very, very important. Then when we want to, what is their risk appetite based on the kind of business we want to do? So some businesses have a higher risk appetite than some other ones. So Will this person be open to some adventurous idea? Let's try this thing out. Let's go to the market this way. Let's test run this way. We have potential of losing money based on our risk analysis, but will you allow us do it? Do they allow me hire the kind of talent that is necessary? They will not tell me that I have a cousin that just graduated and the guy needs to come. Even if you're starting a church, there is also their analysis. I cannot see because you're good as a student pastor, I will then bring you to a real life scenario where people you're dealing with are people in their 60s or 70s. And do they understand that persona? Because there are some people, you see them, they always claim they are old. They want to show you they are old. So if you're dealing with a youthful product or a youthful brand and you take funding from such people, they will control you. They will not allow your business scale because of that experience. There are people who I know in marketing space who are CFOs, CMOs, and all of that, who can deliver on their company's expectation because of their mindset. No, this is not how to dress for our campaign. This is not how to do this. And I'm telling you, this does not work that way because our product appeals to Gen Z or Gen Alpha, and this is what they consume. And you are telling me that I cannot allow because my children don't play roadblocks or something or computer games at home. But this is where we are supposed to be putting our ads. You are telling me to go and put it on the street because it's your money. So sometimes you want to understand how the person's mind works. Is this person open to the criticism that also comes when, okay, sir, I know it's your money, but sir, I don't think this thing will work this way. And then is this person open to embracing it? Because those are elements that you want to see in the background. You don't necessarily have to, beyond money, this person must be willing to do the work, except you want somebody who just gives you the money and take a back seat. That's a different conversation. There are investors like that, but most times if you check Shark Tank, for example, I've almost watched any episode of Shark Tank that existed, right? I may have forgotten a good chunk of it, but in my early days, I spent days, hours. That was the only thing I was watching. I didn't have Netflix, I didn't have DSTV. I don't even have DSTV for almost 10 years. That was what I watched. And I saw where people say, oh, on my TV show, I will make this happen for you. I've seen people rise. I've seen people who they just tap on their back on a stage and they say, oh, I support what this guy is doing. And that's why people do things like influencer marketing. If, for example, look at what happened. Let's take a local case study. Look at what happened to maybe art school or something when Fowles got involved in that conversation. He has a network. He may, I've not even brought money to the table, but just assume, I'm just assuming, maybe if I ask Wally, I don't know how much he put in there, but by getting him involved, there is an exposure that the brand had that gave them a leverage. So if you can get maybe a macaroni, key all of them, they support your brand or your product, and they just say, okay, I'm investing money with you. That means you have more potential to have a level of exposure for your product or something. So they are looking young. They may not look like the baba that sits in the room during exposure or something. But the fact that I'm willing to give you 2% or 3% of my business ownership, but consistently every month, give me this exposure. Look at what there is another case study. I think it's Udemy that partnered with either Wall Street Journal or something or Washington Post. And all they did was that in every email that went out, they just put a caption somewhere below, somewhere down, and just say, click here to watch free courses. And they did that for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, they had over 100,000 people subscribe onto maybe Udemy or something. I can't remember the full gist. I'll go and study that link alone. And they were just paying for that because they were leveraging the audience of this other platform. So people now they had over 100,000 people who have subscribed before they even started touching their main funds that they had raised that time at about $5 million. Why? There is a style. The leverage. It's like when you're dealing with an investor. Let me close by saying that if you're dealing with an investor is supposed to be the big elephant. You are supposed to be the ant in quotes. And when you cross the bridge, the ants will come up and say, we shook the bridge. I know the elephant will say, you can't shake anything. I shook the bridge. But at the end of that conversation, one question is, did we both climb the bridge? That was what the ant asked. That I was on top of the elephant when we were shaking the bridge. So you must understand that model, that investors are supposed to be the elephant, you be the ant, At the end, when you're telling the story, you will be the one that will say we shook the bridge. Most investors cannot be seen. It's you that is the face of the business that we tell the story. And storytelling is very, very critical. I've seen people cry, I've seen different kind of pitch, I've seen people bring all kind of things. You bring some things that are not working. I've seen different kind of stuff. Because I used to run, there's something called circle funds. Then I used to give 5k out as pre-seed investment. And I've seen my money blown. People blow my money. I did a couple of that a couple of years ago, and I said to myself, the rest now, maybe I'm saving the money for my children. Maybe my children will not blow, even if they blow, it's within the family. But I've seen my money got blown. At least about 13 people went with that funds, and I did not see results. So I've seen how I gave people money. I've put my money in, I put my mouth there. I've seen, oh, this thing, they gave me all the metrics. And now, so if I'm looking at you're talking about money now, I'll be smiling, say, okay, good, 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 good. Because I have seen the numbers and I know what and the ones that returned well. So that is the other option to it. So you must be able to look beyond the fact that this investor is bringing money on the table. Are you going to be the ant on the elephant and make it shake? Because the elephant has the ability to make some things happen. You want government relations. Can your investors open door for you to have government relations? You want a policy move. Can your investor open the door to the House of Assembly or state or something and help you with certain things? They're saying, oh, there's a restriction on this thing. Can your investor make a phone call? Those are other things that the investor should be able to bring to the table. Like they used to say, your board should have a technical person, a government relations person. Your board should also have a young person who understands the business, who is a businessman, and one person from marketing that understands how to sell the product. Once you have all of these people on your board or your investment team or something, you're going to get to any place you want to get to. That's my two cover. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Wow. Mr. Kudayo, you should organize a personal masterclass. Honestly, you should do your own Beyond Tech Economy. You should be hosting some either Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, just something to share this knowledge. And this is also a call to everyone here. I learned from Founder Institute when I was an entrepreneur in residency 2023. One of the mentors there is in Lagos. He actually said something powerful. He said that having gone under multiple surgeries a particular year, that what he came out of that surgeon's knife was to share his knowledge and everything, because everything could go in one day, right? So I don't want us to have to get to that point of having to want to invest in other people out of fear. But I believe that all of these rooms we have been in, all of these places that life has privileged us to be in, we have a burden and responsibility to also put this out there. And I'm happy that you all are doing this here through Techeconomy, but beyond Techeconomy, also doing this on your social handles, on your own personal networks, in your WhatsApp communities is actually it's going to be a big change to people who are building and who are trying to do the same thing. So as we close out, audience, you can drop your questions in the chat, and we will take them as we're taking the last comments from our speakers. So Mr. I will come back to you, Mr. Chibike. We have a question for you here that says, um, from a business owner's perspective, the person says, looking ahead, what emerging trends or shifts in the investment okay, no, sorry, that's not the question for you. The question for you, person says to Mr. Chibuike, how should founders approach valuation discussions and negotiations to ensure a fair deal while also being realistic about market conditions? How should founders approach valuation discussions and negotiations to ensure a fair deal while also being realistic about market conditions?
All right. Thank you very, very much. I seem to be a brief talker, which is very great. I learned this. I must share my personal experience. When I started, I approached valuation from a textbook point of view. But when I went into the market, I realized that valuation is a function of where you are, your value proposition, and who you are talking with. Now, if you are at a very early stage, valuation shouldn't be the thing. In fact, one of the people who eventually invested in us gave me that insight that valuation shouldn't be the first thing you go. So let's say you're not making good revenue and you are pushing to the investor, or you're pushing to the investor that you are valued at 1 billion naira. An investor looks at you, okay, that means if I'm going to give you 100 million, I'm only going to get 10% of the business. Is it worth my time? So if that investor is bringing more than just the money, maybe he's bringing his network, mentorship, his skill and all that, and you're asking for 100 million to be just for 10%, he'd probably walk away. So at that stage, what you need to do is look at what can this guy bring to the table? And make your valuation a function of, first of all, what you agree at that point. Second is the sweat equity that that investor is going to bring in. And third is what market you are going to achieve with that person. So if that, it can even have a market valuation of 1 billion, but with this investor, you do that at 500 million because you know that this guy is bringing more than money. Now, if you see an investor that all he's bringing is just the money, then that's when you need to stand at a particular valuation because you know that this is going to be an investor that will sit back and not contribute anything. But those are things you need to also consider. Then, if you have advanced, let's say you've built the business, you've got to a point where you have a track record, you have years in the business, and you have a history, then you can be talking about valuation. But in this market, if you are talking to Nigerian investors, I will say some of them are not just looking at valuation in terms of your revenue, they're also looking at valuation in terms of realistic revenue. The valuation that is used in Silicon Valley is quite overrated here. So in Silicon Valley, they use 10x, 10x. So they use like your annual revenue multiplied by 10. They use that to arrive at a rough valuation because they know that for many of the tech companies, your valuation is a futuristic projection of what you are going to become. So they use that. Some do 10x, some do 20x. But in Nigeria, where we know that the investor you are talking with is not even a Silicon Valley person. So if you're doing 10x, the guy looks at you, he probably will not reply the next email. And you'll be wondering why you've got to due diligence stage and the guy never responded anymore. So it's a negotiation you have to be open-minded to. And then another thing about this valuation is that when you are talking valuation to somebody, do a finding on that person. Do a finding on, can this person take this? Then if the person cannot take that valuation, they can also structure to say, okay, we are valued at 1 billion and we want you to come in at this discount. We can discount it by 20% for you to come in when you feel that this person has something that you need, or this person is going to bring a lot to you. There's also some professional valuers. So there are about 5 different methods of valuation. There's a discounted rate, there's a futuristic revenue. Now, when you have started making some traction, don't just assume valuation. There are professionals who are going to do that valuation for you. So they'll look at your peers in other markets. They'll look at businesses in that space. They also take consideration of other businesses that have been sold in that space. So let's look at in finance, for example. If you look at valuation for fintech in Nigeria, it's not so great because fintech, if you are not doing lending and you're not doing full banking service, you're moving just bills. So if you tell us you're doing 1 billion naira, we'll look at it now, it's about 1.5% of that as your money, right? Now, that valuation will be quite different. So we'll look at it based on that industry. But if you're doing a business in Another sector that is maybe deep tech or telecom, they'll look at it, okay, this guy has a very strong value proposition. So if they take your revenue, they look at your profit margin is sometimes 40%, then the valuation will be higher. But in places where your profit margin is not great, you could have very high number in your revenue, but your valuation will not be great. They also look at, so when you also bring in facts that you need to use to negotiate valuation, present the fact that a company that is similar to you has been sold in another market or has been sold in another space, and this is how much it was sold. You know, there's no textbook access or there's no textbook formula, but there are a number of formulas that you can stand upon. Now, if somebody has sold a similar business that has done similar thing you did at that stage, then you can stand on that pedestal to say, hey, this is my valuation. For us in Dutch, I think we've done valuation more than 5 times. And each time we do evaluation, it depends on who we are talking with. Now, when we were having foreign investors coming in, the valuation was totally different because we know that these foreign investors are bringing in foreign currency, and it was going to be international basis. But when we had local investors, we were not going to them because we wanted their money. We were going to them because we had access. We needed access. And I quite resonate with Ekundayo. You know, that same business school he went to was also the business school I went to. And in that business school, one of the things that made me go there was an investor in Duchess was talking to me and he said, look, you don't know a lot. I was always complaining this, I'll come and complain this, come and complain this. He just looked at me. He said, go and take this course. And that course was very expensive then. Eventually I went there on the basis of that. But the money that man brought into Duchess wasn't much, but the things that man has done for us with that small money has been so great. If you recall, we closed a funding, which we are going to announce, but some part of it has always already been talked about. And he was still the same person that did a whole lot of those fundings. He's an investor that you want to negotiate with a fellow investor, he will lead the negotiation for you. He will lead, like he's willing to take you hands-on. So for those kind of person, you don't stand on a very high valuation. No. So what you look at is, okay, this guy, I can even give him at very huge discount, just bring him in. But if founders come and say, okay, I have maybe this big investor already on my with my cap, I already have a term sheet from this big investor, and over time realize that those two investors know each other, you've shot yourself in the leg. I remember when I was raising many years back, so and this is also a lesson for a number of startups. If you want better valuation, always make sure you have more than 5 term sheets. So that also helps you to improve your valuation. I had 3 term sheets, and 3 of them knew each other. They were negotiating, and they were doing, I didn't know they had some, will I say, schism among themselves. This person wants to ensure that he takes a bigger chunk more than this other person. Another group also wants the other group not to be in. Now, by the time along the line, one of them dropped. The other two knew that that one had dropped. They dropped their valuation. They said, no, that valuation will not work. So for you to be competitive, and this with no prejudice to the VC in the house, for a founder to be competitive, make sure you have a number of term sheets on the table, then you negotiate better. But if an investor feels that he's the only one you have, the negotiation is always different. They look at it like, okay, if I don't invest now, that means you're not going to close this round, right? But if I invest, you close it. But if you have more term sheet, there's that formal thing, fear of missing out, that okay, if this man, if I don't invest, another person is going to invest. If I lose it, it's gone. And you know, some founders or fundraisers also create that urgency in investing committee, because some investors have actually lost opportunities. Some people lost opportunity of investing in further wave, on paystack, on interest rate, just because of some small technicalities. Now, some of them do not have clear understanding of what you're going to become. In fact, they are not soothsayers. They don't even know what you're going to become. What you are telling them is futuristic. But if they see a validation from a fellow investor or a fellow person, and your valuation is that high, they can look at, okay, let me still participate, because naturally investors are not looking at valuation per se. What they are looking at is multiples of the return on investment. So even if you say you are valued at 1 billion, but tomorrow you're going to be 10 billion, Abby, do you have capacity to turn that 1 billion to 10 billion? If you have, they will invest. Now, even if you are valued at 1 billion and 5 years down the line, you're only becoming 1.5 billion, it doesn't make sense for them. So, but when they've seen other investors validate that, they now come in and say, hey, okay, let's take it. And your early person who you took money from at a lower valuation, we validate the next person that is going to invest in your business. That could be multiples of 5, like 5x, just because Mr. A has invested, which of course the terms you took at Mr. A may not be favorable to you, but because he has come in, and then these other guys look at, okay, if Mr. A is here, that means this company is worth being with. Those guys will come in at a favorable valuation. So in summary, valuation is not carved on stone, but it is very dynamic. First, who you are dealing with. Second is at what stage you are, and then third is what are the terms you are putting on the table. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that masterclass, Mr. Chibuike. That was deeply insightful. Thank you so much. And please, if you have any questions in the house, you could just raise your hand and our IT team will bring you up on stage, or you could drop it in the chat section. So a question to as also to for last comments from our speakers. I'll be coming to you. I'll be coming to you, Mr. Franklin, and of course, Mr. Samuel. This particular question asked for your both of your comments. So please, as you respond, also give your closing comments. The person specifically said for Mr. Franklin and Mr. Samuel, what are the best practices for maintaining transparent and productive communication with investors after the funding round closes? Please, if you could give your comments in 2 minutes each. Mr. Franklin, you go first, and then Mr. Samuel.
Yeah, thanks for that. To be clear, can you reiterate the question?
Yes, what are the best practices for maintaining transparent and productive communication with investors after the funding round closes?
So a couple of things. I think first of all, during that engagement with the founder investor engagement, there is a bit of close contact. You would have your number, you would have your email, you guys would have met either at the office and thereabouts. So in terms of channels, they would always be available. After the round has been closed, I think it's all about they are usually scheduled either quarterly or monthly meetings. That's one form. The other forms where to an extent could be via let's say Google Meet or Zoom and the likes, or it could be informal. Somebody gives a call to the other, and there's that level of engagement. I think a very important one is the reports. Whether some teams send reports either quarterly, some of them send reports monthly. But I would say that because of the nature of the founder investor engagement, there there would be what I call a strategic closeness. That strategic closeness means that one would need to communicate and engage with this person on a regular, because to an extent, especially when you look at it from the VC standpoint, you are an enabler, you're part of the building process. I think Chibike mentioned that, and I would maybe paraphrase, there's smart capital and there's dumb capital. Dumb capital is just I give you money. Smart capital is okay, there's money, there's network, there's access, there's advice, and any way in which one can help the company so that they will grow. Because it's in the investor's interest that the company grows as well. So I would say most likely based on the interaction between the founders and the investors, they would have a strategic closeness because they are in the process of building together, although the founders are at the forefront of driving the vehicle, in my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Mr. Samuel, please.
Yeah, so for me, transparency data funding is not complicated actually. But what I believe in is that if you are collecting any money from any investors, please, like we all know, trust in Nigeria is an issue, right? So if you are collecting any dime, any 1 naira from any investors, keep your communication with them. Don't ghost anybody because there's this fallacy say that is rampant now. I think, and yeah, people saying the easiest way for entrepreneur to make money now is to just create something, you know, create a story around it, pitch to invest, collect investors' money, collect from here, collect from here. But that is not a spirit of builders. That is not where you start. That is not where you start. That's why you have to identify why are you even in this ecosystem. So, and from experience, Nigerian investors locally, their channels of communication most likely is WhatsApp. It may sound somehow, but these people want to make sure that once they reach out to you, they need a prompt responses. You understand from you. There is just a message away. Don't ghost anybody. Don't be too busy. You can't be too busy. I know you are a founder, you have a lot on you, but you can't be too busy. Well, most especially Nigeria investors. I know I have understanding of what I'm saying. And I think Mr. Ekonda shared something. Some investors in Nigeria could be very toxic in such a way that you are even bringing another CEO ahead of you in the business unknown to you. They will micromanage your life till eternity. But even with that, as long as you are trying to move away from micromanaging, trying to make sure that you follow your playbook, you focus on growing the business. Don't be too busy, 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 and ghost your investors. They give you money to continue that business. So you must make sure that once you prioritize their message, you prioritize their conversation. Give them reports, create a reporting channel, transparency, create that trust, because that is not the stage. You are not just limiting your fund this into that stage. These investors that I think Mr. Ikunda also said they are like an elephant. You understand? They are open, they can open door, they can close door. That does not mean they can close door that you not have another person to avoid. But at least when you have a very good investors on board that is contributing more than money, you understand? This person can take you further than where you think your connection, your network will even take you to. Just a call can open door. You understand? And you wouldn't want to break the trust. So I just believe your communication or just have an understanding of what is the channel of communication better suit this person. Is it WhatsApp? Is it through email? Is it through phone call? And just follow through. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel, for making that very simplified. Thank you. So I would close with you, Mr. Kundayo, if no one has any question in the room.
Sorry. Let me add to that.
Okay.
Just small to that. Thank you for that. The relationship between a founder an investor, it's like a marriage. And that relationship, you lubricate it by the things you do. If you build confidence in your investor, they'll not need to micromanage you, except maybe the investor doesn't understand. First of all, come from the point of building confidence, because nobody understands that business more than you do. And if the founder knows that you know that business more than they do, they will respect your word for it. Now, your relationship with them also should be more like there's a little bit of friendship, there's a little bit of socials in it. My investor will invite me for birthdays, invite me for another person's birthday. He'll take me into a room that I know that I probably will not get into that room and do a lot of introductions for that, because he feels that, okay, I have confidence in this guy. And in that place, I also will not let him down. Those kind of things. See him like your ebon, your elder bros. So sometimes you just go to him like, sir, this though. You start picking up conversations. Some of the things that are giving you issues, he will talk, you will tell him, he'll give you his perspective. Then sometimes they also bring their own things to you. You give perspective, but you need to build that rapport where you should be able to speak to them freely, and they will also be able to speak with you freely. So that way, even if the business is going through turmoil, they will understand, because some of them have also built businesses and they've gone through that rounds you have gone through. And you'll be surprised when you are having an issue, the investor will report to you. Because there was a time I had an issue and I thought it was the end of it. And when I was talking with him, he just kept quiet. And then he started narrating to me when he had a similar issue with another business in Nigeria and how it went. When I came out, I'm like, I thought this was that big. But the truth is that whatever you go through as a founder, some of those investors who have run businesses have also gone through it. But it's only when you have that rapport with them that you get that fact.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chibike, for that insight. All right, so Mr. Kundayo, I want to close out with you because you've spoken a lot about investments and fundraising in an unconventional way. I want to ask from your deep world of experience, looking ahead, what emerging trends or shifts are you seeing in the investment landscape that entrepreneurs should be aware of when planning their fundraising strategy? And anyone else can also jump on this as we close out. What emerging trends or shifts in the investment landscape are you seeing or are you hearing of that entrepreneurs, founders should be aware of when planning their fundraising strategy? Thank you.
So now that my Oga has spoken, Oga Chibike is a mentor to me at work.
I don't be your
So we went
God.
to the same business.
Now you be your guy here.
uh, I know we're friends for a long time. We never saw, but we chat for a long time.
Honestly,
I think almost 5 or 6 years before
honestly.
we finally saw. But
I've done a lot of things together since then.
exactly. So I'll say some things you want to look ahead. I know there is something that is a trend now, AI and all of that, and then the integration into several things. If you can walk around it, there is also a major call that is going to happen soon, which is moving into the verticals of TVETs, as technical and vocational skills education, and there will be a lot of demand for the blue collar space. I don't know what it is, but I want to speak like a prophet that that sees into the future. You see, the wave of digital came, digital skills, tech, all of that. I think we'll move into that place where you can use your creativity to use to walk around the blue collar space, which will include carpentry, painting, all of those things, technical and vocational skills that many people are not considering. I think it's a big deal that would happen next because we're beginning to see a trend upwardly that people don't want to do that. The only space that I see people focus on when it comes to technical and vocational skill is fashion, tailoring, and all of that. They don't focus on things like plumbing, weathers, And all furniture and upholstery still even have some sort of take off, but things like roofing, tiler, you hardly even see people go into those spaces. But those are continuous human needs and demand. So that's another space that will come up soon. There's also going to be a bit of agric, maybe as a people, as a nation, if you're speaking to Nigerians, there's some sort of interest of government in that space. And even as individuals, we all then begin to create some sort of stuff there. I just started my investment in goat farm. So that one I'm doing an experimental model. So uh, I'm not calling for funding yet. So that one I can still use my money to to test run for now because the logistics are a bit interesting. So I'm saying all of this because I want us to start seeing beyond the tech space. Fintech is good, but the space for me is not saturated yet, but the regulations are becoming tighter and all of that. And all kind, anywhere you turn, this one will say this one will say that one will say we are collecting, we are giving, we are doing lending, they will do advert, oh, zero loan, zero credit. All those things are running, is good. But we also then need to grow innovatively around that space, how money moves and all of that. So fintech is good, but maybe if there is a better infrastructure you want to play with, that can work. So I see somebody who just came up with something where you can use WhatsApp to send money. Um, in the US, I use my phone number or email to send money as much as $5,000, $15,000, especially if you have a corporate account. So there are different kind of things that goes around. Then there's also across human capital development. And when I mean human capital development, it's a broad word, but the place of personal development into managerial and leadership spaces is very, very important. It's good to be a startup and do all those things, raise money, but if you're able to manage people more, it will be better for you because Dangote Dangote is not an engineer, but he can create a refinery and run it. He has an assembling plant. He can run. It's human capital management. It's not just the money. It's your ability to galvanize people together, which in the religious space is one of the things pastors do very well, and imam and all of that. Herbalists may not be able to do so much of that because they don't have too many people working with them or people who come to the but you will see people who can orchestrate people to come together to take an action, and that is where it is. That skill is very essential. So I think those are basic fundamentals in my head for now that will project.
Thank you so much. I love the fact that you went away from the technical into the non-technical. By that I mean like non-digital because we can be so tunnel focused to that particular industry, but also bringing AI into the play. Thank you so much. I don't know if any speaker, Mr. Samuel, do you have insights that you want to share for upcoming trends, Mr. Franklin, maybe from a VC standpoint? If you have any comment you want to contribute to that before we close out.
Yeah, yes. From my hand, I think I just need to share this to upcoming founders, builders, you are coming to the ecosystem to build something. Basically, I've seen a lot of non-technical founders, having this problem of creating their first MVP, bringing in team together and the likes. You may not have the capacity to bring technical team together based on their high demand. But I think as a founder, you have to have a fundamental knowledge about what you want to create. You understand? Have a fundamental knowledge of what you want to create. Everything is not about your passion. You understand? You have to be in the system that you want to create also. I've seen a lot of founders, they come to us to say, they want to start afresh. What happened? Yeah, the guy they were using before, their technical partner they were using before, the guy is now in the UK, Jackpot syndrome and the likes. And what about the code base? The guy did not submit anything to them, or maybe the guy submitted maybe because of something between them, maybe the guy submitted half code base and the likes. The guy will be saying, ah, no, this project is even far much better than this. When this guy was with us, what was happening? Now, because you did not know anything about what you are building, it's not necessary you are a technical founder, but at least have a fundamental of how all of this thing works, the ecosystem, the technical foundation. I'm not saying you should go and learn how to code. You understand? But the technical foundation is very much important as a builder. And thank God we have a co-pilot. Like I was saying, we have a co-pilot that can even help you now, to fast track your MVP. In less than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, your MVP can be done. At least to show to your investors or to at least to pitch to friends and people around to educate them about your idea. Because your pitching starts from your people around you, your relative. It's not you don't wait until you get to face investors before you start learning how to sell your product to someone. You understand? You must learn how to convince people. If you can't convince a friend of yours that you see every day, you can't convince them to say, oh, guy, I'm working on this is how it works, this is how it can move faster. And like, if you can't convince them to buy into your idea, how would you be able to convince investors? How would you be able to do that? You will not be able to do that. So and raising capital is not just about finding money. It's about finding the right partner and also who believe in your vision and can help you to build it. Your agent investors, be it physical, can come on board, see beyond the money they are giving to you. How influential are they? How influential are they? Can they open doors? It's not just about their money, because if they bring the money in and you have the money with you, there are a lot of experience that they have to share with you. There are a lot of things they need to share with you to see how to manage the money. So please, that would be my own take home for this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel, for bringing that insight as well. Thank you. I really enjoyed this session. It's been one of the best sessions we've had ever since we started last year, October. And I believe it's gonna, not just for people who are joining, but people who are gonna watch the replays. It's gonna be one of the best, and we'll do our best to keep pushing it even beyond the webinar that we've had since 10 o'clock. So I want to say thank you. I have nothing more to say. All speakers and panelists have brought a deep energy and for this conversation and insight. So I just want to say thank you. The Institutes of Tech Economy, we're grateful. Thank you for everyone who's joined from Facebook, who's watching from YouTube, who's also watching from Instagram, and to anyone who's also going to watch the replay. One thing we always say is if you do enjoy these sessions, tell someone about it, share it to your communities, share the webinar link and the replays, so that as we all learn, that's how the content is going to get better, right? As we keep learning and keep upskilling and keep building, that's how we're going to see the change that we expect and we demand to see starts from ourselves. So thank you, speakers. You would get of course, the thank you notes from us. And of course, we'll reach out as when necessary